Remember this.
If your only argument for Caitlyn is that it would have been a great marketing opportunity and you don't have basketball experience or chemistry with the group listed in your reasoning, I don't want to hear it.
This is the most popular women's basketball player in the world.
It was a stupid decision because it compromises what your ultimate goal is, which is to elevate the WNBA brand.
Caitlin Clark is certain she will return even stronger next season after the Connecticut Sun beat the Indiana Fever 87-81 to end her hopes of finishing her rookie year with a WNBA championship title. On First Take, Molly, Chiney, Ogwumike, and Stephen A. Smith reveal shocking fact about Caitlin Clark. But before that, let's see what Clark said.
She definitely came up with some big shots.
Got it off to a slow start, but Big Shot Bonner showed up when she needed to.
And later, with 1:05 left, Clark with the pass to Kelsey Mitchell. She misses, get the rebound.
Shoot the layup.
Not sure what happened there, but on the very next possession, Alyssa Thomas to Marina Mabry to seal the deal. Connecticut wins 87-81. They advance to their sixth straight.
She did her best. But let's see what Chiney said.
On the road, and this is late in the fourth, 4:06 left. Caitlin Clark comes up with a huge three. We've seen that left side three before.
Sidestep to the left. You know she loves to get into that three-pointer off the dribble, going to her left.
1:56 left. Alyssa Thomas with the pass to Dewana Bonner. She definitely came up with some big shots.
Got it off to a slow start, but Big Shot Bonner showed up when she needed to.
And later, with 1:05 left, Clark with the pass to Kelsey Mitchell. She misses, get the rebound.
Shoot the layup.
Not sure what happened there, but on the very next possession, Alyssa Thomas to Marina Mabry to seal the deal.
Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA as the most influential women's basketball player we've seen in a generation.
Yeah, a year this far. Yeah, Caitlin Clark came into the WNBA as the most impactful women's basketball player we've seen in a generation.
I couldn't agree more with Chiney. Caitlin Clark is such an impactful player and has brought a whole new level of excitement to the WNBA. Her talent and influence are truly unmatched. Even with her WNBA season over, Caitlin Clark continues to set records as her entrance into professional basketball has skyrocketed interest in the product to uncharted territory. The Fever exited the postseason on Wednesday night with a loss to the Connecticut Sun. Game 2 of their WNBA quarterfinal matchup was the most watched game in league history on cable, averaging 2.5 million viewers. The Suns' win over the Fever peaked at 3.4 million viewers and helped the second half of their playoff doubleheader between the Mercury and Lynx average 1.2 million viewers. The same viewing slot for the WNBA raised viewership 507% from last year's figures. Clark played in the most viewed cable telecast of the day for everyone in males under the age of 50.
Connecticut looking to close things out tonight, and here we go.
They're hoping that can discourage Alyssa Thomas from making some of her great passes.
No one picks up Clark, who cans the three. Rebound flagged down by Clark.
The latter game of Phoenix, Minnesota was the third most watched WNBA playoff game ever on ESPN. The first round games overall have averaged 1.1 million viewers, the most watched postseason in WNBA history. In the season-ending loss to the Sun, Clark scored 25 points, adding 9 assists and 6 rebounds. She's the first rookie to have pulled off a 25-5-5 game in the postseason. The WNBA Rookie of the Year being at the forefront of the Fever's revival led her to achieving several more astonishing feats during the regular season as well. Let's see what Molly said before.
Some of us felt like maybe she hadn't proved it in the WNBA, but at this point, she certainly has. So she proved everybody wrong.
What about the guards? Let's talk about the guards that didn't make it.
That's rude, Molly. Let's see what Smith said to Molly.
The only other athletes that I can see recently, the past generation, that have moved the needle like this, maybe Serena Williams, absolutely. Anytime she played, anytime she won titles, straight up viewership, box office, Simone Biles, we just came off of the Olympics. You look at that list. Now the difference is Caitlin has yet to win.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about women's basketball is people are following her story. They followed her story at Iowa, now to the pros, and now people are going to continue to follow her until she hopefully gets a championship.
First of all, let's put this in its proper perspective. When I think about Caitlin Clark,
The operative word that comes to my mind is gratitude. There's an incredible level of gratitude that should be accorded to this young lady with what she did for the sport. That's not to take anything away from anybody else, but I often argue, when I've argued with folks about this, you think NBA players shouldn't be thankful to Magic Johnson?
It's frustrating to hear Molly downplay Caitlin Clark's Olympic team selection. Smith was right to call her out. Clark wasn't just chosen for her stats at the time, but for her incredible potential and overall impact on the game. Team USA picks players who bring more than just numbers, and Clark has proven she deserved that spot, no matter what anyone says. Molly asked to Smith,
That doesn't, when the audience was telling you, no, something else matters.
Let me just hold on. Let me say one thing, because I want to push this forward to Alyssa Thomas.
Sure.
Stephen A., what is the major point that you want to make here, your major thesis statement on this? Because every time Caitlin Clark comes up, I feel like...
Oh, Molly, seriously? Every time Caitlin Clark comes up, you just have to throw shade. It's pretty clear you can't handle how much attention she's getting. Maybe instead of taunting Smith, you should recognize that Clark's talent speaks for itself. Smith responds to Molly.
...of this narrative, where you're frustrated.
Well, first of all, I'm not frustrated. Number two, I did get stuff off my chest on numerous occasions. I'm just reiterating my points because I think one of the things that needed to be mentioned was that even though Caitlin Clark is new to this, and even though she has proven to be a potentially sensational player, the resentment that some, not most, not all, but they say some, those who squeak get the loud, I forgot the phrase, but that stuff that was going on was real. And you see it with some of her fans. You see it with a lot of people who were looking at the WNBA and using that as a means to castigate them. People like myself, you and others certainly came to the WNBA's defense in terms of the credibility that the league has earned, that it richly deserves, the support that it has now received, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. Smith is absolutely right. Caitlin Clark's talent is undeniable, and the resentment she faces is real. It's frustrating to see some people ignore the impact she's having, while the WNBA finally gets the recognition it deserves.
I feel like basketball has really consumed my life for a year, so I feel like it'll be good for me to kind of reflect back on everything that's happened. Like, I feel like I didn't even have time to really reflect on my college career because it ended so fast. And then I came here and was trying to give everything I could to this team. And it was special. There was a lot of things that this group accomplished that, a lot of people probably didn't think was possible.
All right, Caitlin finally getting a moment to breathe, right? As she just mentioned, didn't even get to reflect at all on her college career and just jumped right into things and had an epic season. How would you describe, Chiney, her historic career?
Yeah,
a year this far.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark came into the WNBA as the most impactful women's basketball player we've seen in a generation. And
I can totally understand where Caitlin is coming from. She's been nonstop, giving everything to her teams, and it's amazing to see how much she's accomplished. Taking time to reflect on her journey makes sense, especially after such a whirlwind year. She's done so much that people didn't expect, and fans can't wait to see what's next for her. Andraya Carter revealed how Connecticut's Sun won. She said,
but also when you think about this Connecticut team, they're balanced. Yeah. Everybody scored that got in the game. They had 18 points off the bench. Veronica Burton and Olivia Nelson-Ododa were phenomenal. They played so well. Alyssa Thomas was doing her thing. Big Shot Bonner made shots. They were more experienced, but they also had more weapons. When you look at Indiana, they had 3 weapons offensively. It was Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston. They couldn't compete.
I think the biggest thing was...
It's tough to see Indiana struggle, especially when they rely so heavily on Clark. Connecticut's depth and experience were just too much to handle. Even though Indiana couldn't compete this time, I know Caitlin gave it her all, and I can't wait to see her continue to grow and lead in the future.
A scoring record, or the all-time scoring record in college. But now you see her in the WNBA, and you can say the exact same thing. Most impactful that we've seen in women's basketball for those same 2 reasons. Arenas were upgraded, viewership through the roofs. But then when it comes to the basketball, what she was able to do was truly impressive. She averaged 19 and 8.
Fans agree with Chiney's assessment, recognizing Caitlin Clark's continued impact in the WNBA. Her record-breaking college career and ability to boost viewership and elevate the game in the league have impressed many. showing she's truly a standout player in women's basketball.
Basketball, what she was able to do was truly impressive. She averaged 19 and 8. For some context, I won Rookie of the Year. I think I averaged 12. It is a huge feat to get those types of numbers. After Olympic break, you mentioned it, Molly. It's like finally she can wait, waiting to exhale.
Totally.
23, 9, and 8 were her averages, bringing the Fever to the playoffs. I know that there was a big three with Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell as well, but what she has been able to do has transcended not just women's basketball, but it's women's sports in this moment.
Fans amazed by Caitlin Clark. Averaging 19 points and 8 assists is huge, especially for a rookie. She's taking women's sports to new heights, and it's impressive.
Women's sports in this moment. The only other athletes that I can see recently, the past generation, that have moved the needle like this, maybe Serena Williams, absolutely. Anytime she played, anytime she won titles, straight up viewership, box office. Simone Biles, we just came off of the Olympics. You look at that list. Now the difference is Caitlin has yet to win.
Caitlin Clark is on the same level as legends like Serena Williams and Simone Biles in terms of impact. She'll be unstoppable in next season.
And Angel Reese knows a ring is coming.
The rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese is definitely one of the hottest topics in the WNBA right now. Both players had incredible games, but in a recent podcast, Dan Dockich revealed fascinating insights about their rivalry. He said,
"You know, it is amazing, and this is the stuff that we talked about basically all summer long. It is amazing the impact that Caitlin Clark has. I'm not throwing Angel Reese in there, but others do, and that's a good thing. But Caitlin Clark has literally carried the sport on her back all summer long. Caitlin Clark was the gift."
Many fans agree with Dan's words. Caitlin Clark had been amazing this summer and really had been the star of the sport. It's impressive to see how much she's contributed. The Indiana Fever Rookies' arrival in the WNBA had signaled a new era for the league. Combined with the Angel Reese rivalry, not only did women's basketball change on a professional level, but also a college level. However, as recent numbers show, these former NCAA superstars have affected men's college basketball as well. Dan Dockich, in his latest Don't At Me episode, revisits a Fox News Digital article in conversation with two of the top men's recruits in college basketball this year. Let's see what Dan said.
No, Caitlin Clark's game resonated. Caitlin Clark's rivalry with Reese resonated. It resonated with me, which means it resonates with men.
Their competition inspires many and connects with a wide audience, including strong men. Let's see what Carrie Champion said about Clark and Reese rivalry.
The story of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, the rivalry, which really isn't a bad rivalry or a true rivalry on the court, is a good thing.
The rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese might not be super intense, but it's still a great storyline for the game. It adds excitement and keeps fans engaged. Dan said,
"I digress. It also resonated apparently with a couple of college basketball's #1 recruits, Dylan Harper and Ace Bradley, two of whom."
It's exciting to see that Caitlin Clark's story is resonating with top recruits like Dylan Harper and Ace Bradley. Their decision to head to Rutgers shows how impactful her game had been. It just goes to show how inspiring she is for the next generation of players. Harper, the #2 nationally ranked recruit in the class of 2024, told Fox how he thinks all players are at the end of the day the same, presumably because of their love for basketball. Fox writer Jackson Thompson also mentions how the NCAA women's final had 18.9 million viewers, while the men had 14.8 million. The younger son of former player Ron Harper, Dylan also revealed how he had always followed women's basketball to a degree because his mom coached teams. Meanwhile, Bailey, the #3 ranked recruit, told the news network that Reese and Clark were what made him follow women's basketball. But if he gets the chance to talk to either of them, who would he choose? "I would probably talk to Angel Reese, her competitiveness for sure. What keeps her driving?" Dan said.
FYI, the women's basketball tournament had 18.9 million viewers, while the men had 14.8 viewers. Ride or die with Caitlin Clark, baby.
While many believe, including Dan Dockich, that CC has carried women's basketball on her shoulders these last few years, her rivalry with Angel Reese is also what has made it more interesting. But the former basketball pro also believes that the WNBA was not ready for this boom. Well, let's see what Clark said about Reese.
I don't think I've ever been her teammate before with even a USA basketball or anything like that. So I know people are going to be really excited about it, but I hope it doesn't take away from everybody else. Like, this is a huge accomplishment for everybody on Team USA and everybody on Team WNBA. Like, they all deserve the same praise. Like, I don't want it to take away from any of that and just be the focal point of All-Star Weekend, because that's not fair to them. And, you know, obviously this is something that's really hard to accomplish. So the best we can celebrate all of them will be great. And just going to obviously soak in the experience, because you never know if you're ever going to be able to get back there, and it'll be fun for all of us.
She is amazing and respectful. How could we not support her? No matter what critics said, let's see Clark record breaking performance.
Corrals it, veers into space. Here's Clark. Clark looking to take it around Lloyd. Clark bodies in and finishes. Clark trying to shake Whitcomb. Step back is good. Into mid-range for Caitlin Clark. Miss there from Lloyd. Clark the fling ahead. Oh, what a dime! And Mitchell lays it in! And Caitlin Clark officially has the most assists ever.
Assist, another get ahead. Caitlin Clark, head up, right in stride for Kelby Mitchell. She does not have to alter her speed one bit.
Here's Katie Lou Samuelson. Can't hit the three in the corner. Boston the rebound. Clark a good look. She got it.
You had this tornado hit, and you weren't ready, says Dan Dockich on Caitlin Clark. Dan Dockich has long been a Caitlin Clark fan, and in the discourse surrounding her popularity in the league, he's usually been on the positive side of it. While some dislike a rookie getting this much attention, others want her to be in the spotlight even more. But Dockich believes that while she's changing the game, the WNBA is not dealing with it properly. Let's see what Dan said in response to her haters.
Only should you have known that Caitlin Clark was going to be a star, you should have prepared for it. You should have said, look, this is what is getting ready to happen. So let's do everything to enhance. Meaning, let's make sure she's on the Olympic team. Let's make sure that other NBA women are smart enough not to be morons to her. But that didn't happen. And they had to go through all of this garbage. I mean, all of this crap, and Kathy Engelbert didn't understand it.
Dan is right. Caitlin Clark's talent was obvious from the start, and it's frustrating that she wasn't fully supported. And it's disappointing to see her face negativity from others in the league. Caitlin Clark had the option of playing a fifth year for Iowa under the additional COVID-19 year, but she chose to graduate on time and enter the W. While many thought her college success wouldn't translate into success as a professional, the Fever rookie has clearly proven them wrong. So has Angel Reese. With CC leading the league in assists and the Sky player in rebounds at one point in time, their rookie year has sensationalized the sport, even influencing the men's side of it. And it's only the beginning.
Because the African-American lesbian players were going overboard in their racism and sexism on Caitlin Clark. Lynn and the WNBA had to send different videos et al. To the league to get this crap to stop, and the league has, for the most part, stopped.
This shocking admission reveals the internal struggles that Caitlin Clark has faced, not just from the fans, but even from within the WNBA itself. It's hard to believe, but the racism and sexism directed at her were so rampant that the league had to step in.
It seems on some social media channels to have taken a darker turn, a more menacing turn, where race has been introduced into the conversation, where sexuality is sometimes introduced into the conversation. How do you try and stay ahead of that, try and tamp it down, or act as a league when two of your most visible players are involved, not personally, it would seem, but their fan bases are involved in saying some very uncharitable things about.
This was the turning point when the conversations around Caitlin Clark's performance started moving away from basketball and into darker territory. Race and sexuality became the focus of an escalating controversy.
One thing that's great about the league right now, we do sit at this intersection of of culture and sport and fashion and music. Like the WNBA players are really looked at now as cultural icons.
True.
And when you have that, you have a lot of attention on you. There's no more apathy. Everybody cares. It is a little that Bird Magic moment, if you recall, from 1979 when those two rookies came in from a big college rivalry, one white, one black. And so we have that moment with these two. But
while Engelbert tries to frame this as a historic rivalry moment, it's far from that. The issues surrounding Clark and her competitors aren't just about sports. It's a reflection of the larger problems in the league.
Well, I mean, might as well. Caitlin Clark, they got their ass beat last night. But, man, Charles Barkley said this a couple days ago that the WNBA could not have effed this up more. Kathy Engelbert, who is the commissioner, is facing criticism from members of the Players Association for not condemning racism and homophobia, which was, of course, and inevitably tied back to Caitlin Clark.
Barkley lays it all out. This was a failure on multiple levels, and now Clark is at the center of it all. The league's inability to handle these tensions has left everyone watching.
You answered them in private. Awful Announcing said her response was not only lackluster. Oh, really? It lacked of any substance. Well, so what? She's right. This is months ago, you idiots at Awful Announcing. What are you talking about? Engelbert's word salad reply.
Even media outlets are calling out the league's inability to tackle these issues head on. Caitlin Clark may be a top performer, but the WNBA's handling of the controversy surrounding her is far from winning any accolades. The relationships I create here are my legacy. Caitlin Clark quite clearly announced back in Iowa just what she thought mattered the most to her. And now, as she continues to thrill the WNBA crowd with her record-breaking displays, she stands by her words. When the generational talent was drafted as the first overall pick this year, she was not the only one joining the league after shining for the Hawkeyes. Kate Martin was another Iowa alum who entered the big stage, joining the Las Vegas Aces. As their third encounter comes close, Clark is ready to host her former teammate just as nicely. In her recent media availability, the Fever guard talked about welcoming Kate Martin to Indianapolis. She said, "It's definitely pretty weird to us, like we were teammates for 4 years. We got very used to that and now going against." So then like you love it, you joke about it, but at the same time, it just takes some getting used to. I know a lot of our coaches will be here on the same night. Looks like a fun thing for all of them to be able to do too. And sharing that memory and that joy with us. But I'm just super proud of her and happy for her. The 22-year-old guard also hinted towards her former Iowa head coach, Lisa Bluder, making an attendance when Fever will lock horns with the Aces on Wednesday. Both of the WNBA rookies played 4 years together with Bluder at the helm and led the Hawkeyes to back-to-back NCAA finals. When the duo bid adieu to their alma mater, the 63-year-old also decided to step down from the coaching role. While Caitlin Clark has definitely been the talk of the town with her exceptional rookie season, her best friend Martin is yet to have a firm grip with Aces. Nevertheless, she has always found her college best friend acknowledging her and their friendship. The friendship between the opponent rookies, back in May, the former college teammates faced for the very first time in W. While the excitement among enthusiasts was obvious, Clark only made the matchup even more interesting when she opened up on her bond with the Aces rookie. Kate is obviously one of my best friends, somebody that was with me all 4 years at Iowa. I was the person that kind of begged her to come back for her 6th year, said the Fever number 22. After taking a redshirt year and benefiting from the NCAA's COVID-19 eligibility extension, Martin announced in February 2023 that she would be returning for a 6th and final season with the Hawkeyes. She, along with Clark, led the team to the finals, but could not sweep the championship after falling to the South Carolina Gamecocks.
Caitlin isn't much of a defender either. 2/3 of the way through the year, it was clear she was on an all-time record turnover pace. And for 2/3 of the year, Caitlin's three-point shooting ranked near the bottom of the league in percentage. I still get frustrated because she won't shoot enough in fourth quarters because she defers to her vets. Angel Reese is actually a poor defender. Angel's team has now fallen to 11-22, so she isn't having nearly the impact that Caitlin is having on her team. Angel Reese is better than Caitlin Clark, is saying Rodman was better than Michael Jordan. The truth is, Angel's a poor shooter of the basketball. I don't know any other way to say it. She's just a poor shooter.
Skip didn't hold back when it came to discussing two of the WNBA's most talked about rookies, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Let's see how Skip absolutely destroyed these young stars.
Caitlin isn't much of a defender either, though she can and she will steal the basketball. She's 15th in the WNBA in steals.
First up, let's talk about Caitlin Clark. Now, we all know she's been making waves in the league, but Skip's not buying all the hype. He starts off by dropping this bomb. Caitlin isn't much of a defender either. Ouch. That's gotta hurt for all the Clark fans out there. But wait, there's more.
2/3 of the way through the year, it was clear she was on an all-time record turnover pace, the likes of which I have never witnessed. It's almost like she was trying to turn the basketball over.
Skip doesn't stop there. He goes on to absolutely roast Clark's ball handling skills. According to Skip, 2/3 of the way through the year, it was clear she was on an all-time record turnover pace. An all-time record? That's not the kind of history you want to be making in your rookie year, Caitlin.
Caitlin's three-point shooting ranked near the bottom of the league in percentage. Yet, you're right, the truth is...
But hold on to your seats, folks, because Skip's just warming up. He then takes aim at Clark's shooting, saying, for 2/3 of the year, Caitlin's three-point shooting ranked near the bottom of the league in percentage. Near the bottom of the league? That's not what you expect from someone who's supposed to be a sharpshooter.
I still get frustrated because she won't shoot enough in fourth quarters because she defers to her vets. She's got horrendous pressure on her.
And just when you think Skip's done with Clark, he delivers this final blow. I still get frustrated because she won't shoot enough in fourth quarters because she defers to her vets. Looks like Skip thinks Clark needs to step up and take charge in crunch time. No mercy from Bayless today. Now let's turn our attention to Angel Reese. If you thought Skip was harsh on Clark, wait till you hear what he had to say about Reese.
Angel Reese is actually a poor defender, Brittany.
Right out of the gate, Skip drops this bombshell. Angel Reese is actually a poor defender. Wow. For someone who's known for her physical presence on the court, that's a pretty damning assessment from Skip.
Angel's team has now fallen to 11-22, so she isn't having nearly the impact that Caitlin is having on her team.
But Skip's just getting started. He goes on to question Reese's impact on her team, stating, Angel's team has now fallen to 11-22, so she isn't having nearly the impact that Caitlin is having on her team. Ouch. Skip's basically saying Reese isn't living up to the hype and isn't making her team better. That's gotta sting.
Angel Reese is better than Caitlin Clark, is saying Rodman was better than Michael Jordan or Ben Wallace was better than Kobe.
And if you thought that was harsh, wait till you hear this. Skip actually compares the idea of Reese being better than Clark to saying Rodman was better than Michael Jordan. Talk about a brutal analogy. Skip's basically saying anyone who thinks Reese is better than Clark is out of their mind.
Angel's a poor shooter of the basketball. I don't know any other way to say it. She's just a poor shooter. She's now 38% from the floor, not from three. She's 2 of 12 from three. That's 17%.
But the knockout punch comes when Skip talks about Reese's shooting. He doesn't mince words here, folks. Skip straight up says, the truth is and was a poor shooter of the basketball. I don't know any other way to say it. She's just a poor shooter. No sugarcoating there. Skip's calling it like he sees it, and he sees Reese as a liability on offense. Now you might be thinking, wow, Skip really went in on these two, and you'd be right. But here's where things get interesting. Despite all these criticisms, Skip actually ends up praising Clark quite a bit throughout the rest of the segment. He calls her a once-a-generation passer and even suggests she could be pushing for MVP. So what's the deal? Is Skip playing both sides? Or is he just being brutally honest about both the strengths and weaknesses of these young stars? One thing's for sure. Skip Bayless knows how to stir up controversy. By pointing out these flaws in Clark and Reese's games, he's guaranteed to get people talking. And isn't that what sports media is all about? But let's take a step back for a moment. Are Skip's criticisms fair? Is he being too harsh on these rookies who are still finding their footing in the league? Or is this tough love exactly what they need to hear to improve their games? It's worth noting that both Clark and Reese have had incredible success in their college careers. They're adjusting to a new level of play, facing the best of the best night in and night out. Growing pains are to be expected, but in the high-stakes world of professional sports, you're only as good as your last game. Skip's comments raise some interesting questions about expectations in the WNBA. Are we putting too much pressure on these young stars to be perfect right out of the gate? Or is this level of scrutiny just part of being a high-profile athlete? One thing's for certain. Both Clark and Reese have shown flashes of brilliance in their rookie seasons. They've also both shown areas where they need to improve. That's the nature of the game. Even the greatest players have aspects of their game they need to work on. So, what do you think? Did Skip Bayless go too far in his criticisms? Or is he just doing his job by providing honest, unfiltered analysis? Are Clark and Reese getting a raw deal? Or do they need to step up their games? Whatever your opinion, one thing's for sure. The WNBA is more exciting than ever with young talents like Clark and Reese in the league. And as long as there are players making waves, you can bet Skip Bayless will be there with his hot takes, ready to stir the pot and keep us all talking. Caitlin Clark's second triple-double also makes her the third player in WNBA history to finish a game with 20-plus points, 10-plus rebounds, 10-plus assists, 3-plus STL. This tweet alone shows how Caitlin Clark continues to make history. In tonight's game, she once again showcased why she's one of the most dynamic rookies the league has ever seen. If an argument for Caitlin Clark as the MVP had to be made, there are undeniable factors supporting it. Indiana Fever has gone from winning a dozen games last season to 18-16, improved to a 500 and are real playoff contenders. Meanwhile, Clark's picking up 3-point and assist records as a great passer and helping her team. So when the star rookie recorded her second career triple-double tonight, she aided Aaliyah Boston in making history herself. Not to be underscored, Boston had an impressive outing that puts her in league with WNBA titans like Lisa Leslie and Brittany Griner. Indiana Fever toppled the Los Angeles Sparks 93-86 with Aaliyah Boston recording a monster double-double with 24 points, 14 rebounds, and 4 assists, going 62.5% from the field. She's now only the third player in WNBA history to have multiple games in one regular season with 20-plus points, 14-plus rebounds, 4-plus assists, and 60% field goal percentage. The only others who have accomplished this are Lisa Leslie and the one who Boston recently clashed with, Brittany Griner. Caitlin Clark notched the second triple-double of her career, 24 points, 10 assists, 10 rebounds in this game. She's the only rookie to do it twice in the league. She also made 4 threes and had 3 steals. She got her first triple-double in July over New York Liberty. Her selfless passing style stood out in this game over the Sparks that a few ex-users compared her to Magic Johnson, the Lakers legend and Sparks co-owner, and it definitely enabled Aaliyah to record her own individual accolade.
Or Timmy Finlay not shooting the three that easily or that comfortably. I don't know if that's comfortable, but it's nice by Caitlin Clark.
The buzz and attention surrounding Caitlin Clark's game are unlike anything seen in the league until now. The jersey sales, the sold-out stadiums, the peak viewership, this massive wave of popularity mirrors the excitement that swept through the NBA in the 80s when Michael Jordan became a household name. So WNBA analyst Nancy Lieberman believes that Clark deserves admiration as MJ does, as opposed to the lack of recognition or criticism that may come her way. Calling out the critics and haters, Lieberman on the Stephen A. Smith Show said, "I just don't understand people. Now you have signature shoes for both men and women because of what MJ did and how he and his team constructed business. Caitlin is doing that right now, and she should be supported and not maligned for that." Lieberman's claims about Clark's influence are understandable when we bring Clark's $28 million Nike deal, which is the most lucrative shoe deal in WNBA history. Clark is soon expected to receive her own signature shoe as well. Jordan's wasn't quite hushed itself. 5-year, $2.5 million deal, 3 times that of any other deal in the league. Thus drawing parallels, Lieberman continues on to say that it is jealousy that is driving the lack of support toward Caitlin Clark as previously observed towards other notable players like Jordan or Tiger Woods. It's not a Caitlin thing, it's a people thing. I mean, people were so jealous of Michael Jordan back in 1984. UNC Chicago Stadium was half empty prior to him arriving. The stadiums were filling up then. TV wanted him and the Bulls on every game, she says. Expanding on her point, Lieberman further exampled Woods as the catalyst to change in golf in terms of purse and TV ratings. All of a sudden, he gets to a certain point in his career and people are jealous and envious, you know, Lieberman notes. Clark's impact? Within just 20 minutes, fans snapped up Clark's WNBA All-Star jersey in both colors, selling out completely. The Indiana Fever leads the league in attendance, recording a 265% jump from last season with a turn-up number of 503,921 across 31 games.